so funny. I did a thing last night, wait over Wednesdays, and I'm reading the script.
Mm.
If you're not with an individual group, you need to sit 6 feet apart. And I get a letter today or an email today. Man, ain't trying to scare people. Blah 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 blah. From somebody who was there last night. I'm like, look, I'm just reading the script. You know what I mean? I'm just reading the script, and the script says, if you ain't with a group, fine. If you're not, we advise you to sit 6 feet apart.
Right.
It ain't mine. I'm just reading the script. But I think people have gotten to the point now where they're used to.
This is Strategic Moves with Ken Dow.
What's up, everybody? You tuned in to another episode of Strategic Moves. I'm your host, Ken Dow. This is a place where I bring art, culture, politics, and business all together. Been doing it for 20 years right here in the city of Cleveland. Met some very interesting people along the way, and this show gives us an opportunity for me and them to share some of our experience with you. And today, I'm very excited. Before we get started, I want to say this. I watch Channel 8 News every morning. I sit there laying in my bed because I don't sleep. Anybody who knows me know I don't sleep. I work 24 hours a day and I don't sleep. And the only people that's up at 4 o'clock in the morning is Wayne Dawson.
That's right. I don't sleep much either.
They don't sleep much either. So I watch Wayne from 4 o'clock in the morning till I walk out the door, which is usually around 10 a.m. on my way to the office. And so today I want to do a special shout out to my production team because I started doing this podcast and I said there's people I want to meet and bring on interesting people. I know a lot of people and I want them to help me. I was sitting there watching the news and they said that Wayne Dawson been working at Channel 8 for 40 years. I said, damn, 40 years. Yeah. And I watched that whole show and I said, it was just amazing to me that you were there that long. Over our lifetime of watching you, it was like 40 years.
Crazy.
And then when I thought about it, I said, I want Wayne Dawson to come on my show. And I came in and I talked to my daughter and I talked to Lateef. And guess what, people? They made it happen. So I want to introduce y'all to no other than Mr. Wayne Dawson.
Thank you. Man, we don't need something. This is what the turkey is.
Man, I'm trying.
That was off the top of the head.
That was top of the head, man. I just said, think about
You
it.
bad, man.
Just think about it.
Man. It's an honor, man. It really is an honor. It really is. And I should have been here a lot sooner.
Oh, no, man. No, you right on time. Trust me, you right on time, man.
But check this out. Believe it or not, I've been at Channel 8 42 years. Can you believe that?
42
Here's
years.
what happened. When I first graduated from Kent, 79, I started at Channel 8. It was like I graduated in winter quarterback. There were quarters back
Right,
then.
okay.
But I started in Channel 8 in October of 79. That first year, I was a trainee. That was back in the days when they had minority training programs.
Okay, right.
Which was that. That's in the past.
Right.
But our union after had a training program. So I got involved in that. Me and a lady named April Sutton, who's out in California now. She's been doing great things out there. So that lasted a year. And then after that, they liked my work. So they hired me as a freelance reporter.
Wow.
Which meant I worked full time, but I didn't get paid full time money. They paid me like $5 an hour or something like that.
Wow.
So I'm good. I'm like, hey, I'm just glad to have a job.
Right.
So that lasted a year. And then in 82, a woman named Maddie Majors, she was a reporter and she went to Detroit, a Detroit station. That opened up a position for me.
Wow.
So they hired me in 82. But like I said, I celebrated 40 years as a full-time reporter, but I've been there 42 years. But who's counting, right?
Now, you said when you started out, you didn't really want to do what you're doing now. You want to do sports or what?
Well, yeah, that's the crazy thing. When I was in college, I wanted to be a sportscaster. I went to Kent State University, and I was news director and all of that, and worked hard. And it was a good thing because I had to do everything. I had to write all the newscasts and all that. But in my heart, I wanted to do sports because I love sports. And I figured if I can't play it, I might as well talk about it. But things happened, and I got pushed in the news. And so the rest is history. But it's so funny, about 5 or 6 years into my career at Channel 8, an opening came up for a weekend sportscaster. So I was interested in the position. So I talked to the news director at the time, a guy by the name of Virgil Dominic, who's the guy who hired me. I thank him for that. And I said, Virgil, I'd like to do sports. Yeah. And he says, well, I'll let you know. Well, Wayne here does real.
Yeah.
I just want to let you know that, sports, it's losing its significance locally because ESPN has started and CNN has a sports. And you'd only do 2 or 3 minutes a day. You probably have a better future in news. And so it turned out that was the key. And,
Wow.
and it worked out that way. And if you think about sports on a local level, it is very small. They do like 3 minutes a night. When was the last time a local sports station broke anything? Even locally. It's all broke on the national scene.
You're right about that. The sports do, they only have their little section.
And like I said, when was the last time? Even when the Browns, when Deshaun Watson, whatever happens with him, it's going to break nationally first. Everything that happens with a local team breaks on the national level. It trickles down to the local level. So local sports doesn't have the significance as it used to have. It's just the way it is. Everybody would rather talk to the national media when it comes to sports.
Let's stay on this Deshaun Watson and Channel 8 stuff. And I watched the first day when you guys got the news that Deshaun Watson may be coming to Cleveland. They were cutting the deals. And I watched Stacey and who's the other young lady with the black hair? Long black hair.
Oh, you're talking about Stacey Fry?
Stacey Fry.
Yeah, Stacey Fry.
I think there's a lot of people in Cleveland who are just not happy about Deshaun. I think they are happy because we're Brown fans and we really want to win. But that Deshaun Watson thing, Wayne, I think is really playing on the heartstrings of a lot of people. So, in your opinion, what's this Watson thing, man? How do you think that's going to play here? Yeah, man.
Well, I think if he is as advertised, and he brings a championship to Cleveland, all is forgiven. There'll still be a core of people who are upset, but I think that time heals all wounds, especially when it comes to sports. You think about, and this was a different time because you didn't have social media, but think about Kobe Bryant when he was with that lady.
Right.
You know, and the charges against him or the accusations against him. You know, Ben Roethlisberger, same thing, you know. I think although Deshaun has a lot of women coming forward.
A lot of them, right.
A lot of them coming forward. The man like massages. But I just think that if he takes us to the promised land, or he wins a Super Bowl, or even just a successful quarterback, I think we'll forgive him. I mean, he's a human being, and do I give him a pass for what he did? Absolutely not. But I mean, he who was allowed sin cast the first stone. You know? And that's the way I look at it. Everybody deserves a second chance, you know. His record was clean before that.
Correct.
He just got caught up into that whole massage thing. And let's be honest, the attorney for the first two ladies went on a fishing expedition. He was searching out women.
To try
and
to do
it became a money thing at that point. Do I excuse him? No. That was dumb on his part.
Right.
But, you know, it is what it is. He's a young man. Young men make mistakes. What is he, 24?
Yeah.
Don't dig in my past when I was 24, 25.
Right.
You do stuff. You do stupid stuff, but hopefully you outgrow that.
Yeah.
And you can move on. If God forgives, then we should forgive.
Yeah,
and that's
correct.
the key. You can't hold on to that stuff. So that's why I'm hoping that if he becomes a good quarterback and leads the Brown and stays out of trouble, what about this? The president who had a lot of accusations against him.
God.
You know what I'm saying? But we swept
No, they definitely let that pass. They gave him a serious pass. Serious pass. And, you know, I say this about the Watson and the place he's at. He's in a good place as it relates to a city. I think whatever the outcome is, that he's in a good place to forgive.
And like I said before, he was a model citizen until this stuff came out. I think he'll be fine. I mean, he knows what to say. He says what he needs to say. He does it. He says it. That's a good thing.
So let's stick there because you got your crew over there. I watch them every morning, man. You guys do a good job. And I tell you what's really amazing that we know there's a sense of family amongst all of you guys that's been working there. And I find it amazing how religious a lot of the folks are there that works there, you know?
And that's a blessing to know that there are believers there. Because most of the time, I mean, when you talk about television, you got a lot of individuals who are skeptics, non-believers, but we do have believers there. And that's a good thing. You know, that's a good thing because I'm never going to hide my faith. And I remember when I first started on the show, that was many years ago, 20 years ago. So maybe I was just I'm thinking about how long I've been in the ministry. When I first started that show, me and Stephanie Schaefer and Andre Bernier, we used to pray before every newscast. And that was a beautiful thing. And we've been number one for every 20, 25 years.
Wow.
That morning show. And I'm thinking one of the reasons we are is because we give glory to God. I just honestly believe that because there's no other reason for us to be number one all these years. I think the fact that there are a lot of people on the show who are believers helps.
Yeah, I noticed that. And just to give you a taste of how I noticed that, I was at lunch one day over off of Prospect, and I walked in and I saw Andre sitting there having lunch with about 3 or 4 guys, and they set me next to them at a table. And while I'm sitting there, get a little ear hustling just because that's Andre Bernie. That's the heck he talking weather.
About, yeah.
Right. So they were talking about church. And he was there with a bunch of deacons and they were or from his church.
Yeah, he's a interim pastor.
All right.
He does a lot of interim stuff. This is his third or fourth time he's been an interim pastor.
Wow.
And I'm thinking this time that he'll probably being the number one pastor there, because he's only working part-time at Fox 8 right now.
Really?
So I think he's moving more and more into the ministry.
Got it.
Yeah, but
I was impressed. And this was many years ago. And I was
if it's many years ago, then he was just an interim pastor.
Yeah, he was just interim pastor then because it was many years ago. But I was so impressed by the fact I said, wow, he's a religious man.
Yeah, he is.
And they were having a serious meeting there. And I was thinking, I said, oh, that's pretty cool.
Deacons,
With the deacons. I said, he's real serious.
I
said, he's a religious guy. So that's cool. So I'm going to tell you about the time how we met. And we met a long time ago. And I met through one of your friends, Herb. Your buddy Herb.
Every time I hear Herb's name, man, it's soft inside.
Oh, yeah.
That was my guy.
Yeah.
He was my photographer. You know, we worked together on many. I have 11 Emmys. I think 10 of them came from working with Herb.
Wow.
He's just a wonderful guy. He's a wonderful photographer, man, a good friend, a confidant. May he rest in peace.
Yes.
Gone far too soon. But yeah, Herb, that was
so let me tell you how we met then. This will flash you back and see if you can remember this. Herb put together, I was working for Councilwoman Sabre Scott.
Oh, I remember Sabre.
Yeah, and we put together, we call it Holiday in the Hood. You remember Holiday in the Hood? You got to think about it, Wade. We was on 105 in St. Clair in the middle of winter. It was freezing outside.
I remember that now. It was a program.
It was a program. Herb was a producer. He bought the choirs and all that stuff out there.
Right. I did something for that.
Yeah, you came out. You was out. UMC. It was you.
Part of it.
It was the other guy before he retired and went to Florida.
Bill Martin.
Bill Martin was there. It was you, Bill, and
it
wasn't Stacey Bell. Stacey Bell was there. Stacey Bell was there. Yeah, you guys came out. Yeah,
I do remember that now.
Yeah, and it was Herb Thomas put that together. Sabre wanted to do a program.
They were close.
They were really close. And she wanted to do this program. She called it Holiday in the Hood. She wanted to give away hot chocolate. She wanted to have Santa Claus come and big Christmas party out there.
That's exactly what it was.
And it was but it was the coldest day. Man, it started snowing.
I'm gonna be honest with you, cold days in Cleveland run together.
Oh, they run together, man. And we did it though. We did that whole program. Yeah, that's where we first met you at, and that's where we kind of got everything going. And Herb put that together for us and all of that. So yeah, that's how.
You behind the scenes guy.
I'm a behind the scenes. I'm always been behind. That's why I know everybody, but nobody kind of knows me doing this kind of thing.
Until the podcast.
Until the podcast, they're like, man, you know everybody. We did a lot. So yeah, that's how we first met, man.
Like I said, Herb Thomas, soul man.
Right. Yeah, I remember soul man.
Excellent photographer, excellent producer. He was just a man of many talents.
So he started out with you when you got going as your...
Well, here's the thing. Herb worked at Channel 8 before I got there.
Okay.
He came out of high school, started working there. I think he was in... Herb used to do... he worked in... I forget where he was. Wasn't on camera. Then he moved up and did the studio camera.
Okay.
Well, he started doing news. He had been there for years. He started doing news the same year I got there as a trainee. So he was a trainee photographer. I'm a trainee reporter.
Wow.
So we come up together like that.
Okay.
And so we're both from the east side of Cleveland. We're both from the inner city, which is rare for a reporter. For a black reporter. Most of the time they come from suburbs, middle America, you know. But I came from
right here,
Glenville, East Cleveland, the hood. And Herb, same thing.
Right.
So we bonded immediately. And our reporting reflected that. We were urban, man. We were that guy. We just did stories that were urban stories, you know, feel-good stories in the inner city kind of thing.
Right.
I loved working with him. And since he's been gone, I haven't found anybody else really to fill those shoes. But it is what it is. You know, I moved on and I anchor more now. But for many years, I was just reporting.
What do you think was the wildest thing you done reported on?
We've done stories in crack houses.
Wow.
That was wild.
Wow.
We've done stories with prostitutes back in the day. We've done stories in nightclubs, you know, where the girls shake. We've done those kind of stories. We've covered political conventions. We've interviewed President Bush. But I tell you, Herb and I, we were one of only 5 stations in the country to do that one-on-one interview with President Bush at the convention. So just being in the mix like that and being able to sit one-on-one and talk to a president, that was cool. And then I've done sad stories. I went to high school at Shaw, and I remember doing a story about a murder. This is early in my career. And this guy murdered his 3 sons as they slept because he was mad at the wife. Well, this happened 2 streets from where I lived on Orinoco in East Cleveland. And so my assignment was to go do the story, do whatever you need to do. So I go over there. Couldn't bring myself to knock on the door to talk to the wife. I just couldn't. So I didn't do it. I still did the story, talked to neighbors. I get back to the station, I'm watching the stories on the 3 stations. There she is on Channel 5. There she is on Channel 3. And that taught me, even though you feel like you're overstepping your boundaries, how you approach the situation, that's the key right there. So I learned that lesson. Even though someone may be grieving, you don't just stick a camera in their face. At least I don't. Exactly. Some people do, but I don't. Right. But my thing is, hey, do you want to talk? If you don't, fine, but at least I have to ask.
Do you miss that, Eddie?
I do. And the thing that, because that's who I am. I'm a reporter first, and I love it because that's the gift part of TV. Sitting and doing the news and anchoring, that's performing. I love interviewing as well, and that's a good part of it as well. But when you go out to do stories, you're actually putting the story together. Okay. You're doing the interviews. You with the photographer who shoots the video. You write the story, select the interviews, put the story together in what we used to call packages, and you present it. That's the creative part of the business. And I still do it. We have a thing now we call Voices of Unity. Okay. Go out and do good news stories about people working together, blah, blah, blah. Like the last one I've done was on the Black Football Hall of Fame weekend. It's coming up down in Canton. Okay. I think it's Central State and Winston-Salem. They're going to play a game at the Hall of Fame. And they do it every year now because the Black Football Hall of Fame is now in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Correct. So I did a story about the merger between HBCUs and the professional football. And
that's a huge story, and a lot of people don't even know that.
They don't even know it.
They don't even know that.
It's been under the radar. But that's going to air very soon, and then that's like a 4-minute piece. But I like doing that stuff.
On the Channel 8 thing, how's working with Amanda Berry?
But I've only met her a couple of times when she first started. Yeah, because it's so funny. She works nights, and I'm in the morning. Okay. But when I met her, just a very, very sweet young lady. And she had her daughter with her. And it's amazing how composed she is, considering what she's been through. Right. So my thing about Amanda Bear is I'm just impressed with her. And I've only met her a few times. Very nice, down to earth. I have nothing but respect for her. Yeah, but like I said, she works in the evening. I get in at 3:30.
I was going to give you my Kenny Dow questions, and that was one. Wait, what time do you go to work at now?
I get in at 3:30.
Wow.
So I get up at 2. Yeah, in the middle of the night.
So when you put that whole suit on and everything at 2 o'clock in the morning, you dressed to the nines?
Dressed to the nines. Friday, the house, I got my makeup on, in a row.
You're ready to roll.
I'm camera ready when I'm ready to man. Because, hey, I better. But anyway, some of the girls, they roll up in there with no makeup on.
Really? So they're getting dressed and everything while they get...
The show started at 4. They rolled on the set at 3:55. See, I'm not that guy. I got to get myself ready. I got to be prepared.
You sit there waiting on them.
I'm waiting on them. Y'all do you. I'm here. I'm ready. But yeah, I get up at 2. I get to work at 3:30, sometimes 3:45. On the air at 4 o'clock. And then we do, on a normal day, I work 5 straight hours on the air. Right. And then if Todd's not there, I do 6 because he does the last hour. Even when he's there, I have to do a little segment in the 9 o'clock show. Okay. So not a lot of time on the air. It really, really is. But hey,
So you're doing 8 hours?
Not really.
No?
Don't let this get out. No, they know. I get there, I get there at 3:30. I'm usually gone by 10:30. Okay. So that's what? 3:30, 4:30. About 6 hours.
About 6 hours.
But that's 5.5 hours on the air.
Oh no, I understand. No, I was wondering, was your typical day like that? Yeah.
Yeah, it's about a typical day. Sometimes I may do 7 or 8, but my typical day is about 6 hours tops.
So what time you go to bed?
Okay. On a good night, 7 o'clock.
Whoa.
On an okay night, 7:30. On a night like last night where I hosted the Wade Oval Wednesday.
You did that?
Yeah, I did it twice this year. Oh, man, I don't get to bed at 8, 8:30, 9. If the Cavaliers, one time I had season tickets for the Cavs when LeBron was in. Man, I'd stay there for the end of the game. I'd be getting to bed like at 10:30. Wow. Then getting up going to work. Wow. That was crazy.
That was crazy, yeah.
Yeah, but it was worth it because LeBron was there, right? Wow. But, yeah.
So here goes my other question for you that everybody probably wants. How many damn suits you got, Wayne?
Got a bunch, man.
How many suits in that closet? Man. You got a big old closet, Wayne?
Yeah, well, it's a big closet, and I probably take about 2/3 of the closet. My wife has a third. But see, she got her stuff upstairs. I got a lot of suits because I've kind of stayed consistent in my weight. So the problem is I got way too many suits, but I try to recycle them as much as I can because, the suits now, at one time they were baggy pants.
I was about to say, everything's
tight,
fitted now, right?
Everything's fitted now.
Right.
So it is what it is, but I got a lot of suits.
But you hold on to because you're going to be like,
it's going to be back in style.
Now.
Hey, I got a couple of Steve Harveys. I'm like, ooh, that's a nice suit. It's got to be back in style at some point.
Oh, yeah.
With the 4 buttons down the
front.
Come on now.
Oh, they coming back. They coming back. Now, I tell you what, I like all the damn socks. The Kenny gadget, man, that's an awesome gift, man. That was an awesome gift.
Can I say something, man?
That was awesome.
Kenny Crumpton is a hell of a guy.
Excellent.
He really is, man. I love him. He's like a brother to me, man. Nothing but love for Kenny, man. He's a good-hearted guy.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's hard to find. He's a good-hearted guy, man. And not just because he gave me a couple of boxes of socks, but he's just a good dude. He really, really
that was an awesome gift.
I
looked at it, out of all the gifts to give people, I said, you know what? That was a great gift.
I'm going to say, I've only worn a couple of them because they some wild socks.
Yeah, there's some wild socks. Yeah, but that's how they're wearing them now.
Yeah, they are. Right? But yeah, I got a bunch of them. You need a pair.
I looked at it, I said,
the last thing I thought, I said, 3 boxes.
Yeah, they gave 3 boxes. And I said, Wayne don't need no socks, but that is a hell of a gift. That was a great gift. So let's switch up a little bit, Wayne. Let's talk about journalism in Cleveland, how things have changed. We're talking off air about just how things have changed more national and people looking at more national news, and news as a whole. I watch you in the morning. My wife is at work, so I get to listen to some of the good news, and you guys have the nightmares in there mixed there. And it's really a wash of what happened last night. But you guys get to put the new news in there and a lot of good stuff that's going on. But then is that 10 o'clock news that come on. And the wife every night, man, you make me go to bed on this every night. I can't sleep because of the news. And I had an opportunity to work at the prosecutor's office some years ago. And I was working in their scanning department, scanning documents. And I was scanning in all the cases. And part of scanning in all the documents, you go through and you look at all the cases. You see all the murder cases. See all the autopsies and all the stuff that was going through. And we scanning this stuff because they're moving stuff from paper to digital. And I'm looking at all of that. And I got a sense of how much real crime and everything that goes on in the city. And I told my wife, you watching this, but this ain't even a drop of what's really going on out here in the community. So just that balance, Wayne, in news and not trying to scare people half to death with what's going on and keeping people to the reality. How you balance that?
Yeah, that's a good question because we do. I mean, every day I get in, I know there's going to be a murder. It's going to be a fire. It's going to be some kind of gunfire or something. I know we're going to lead with some next stuff usually. And because like you said, it's out there and it's what we choose to cover. That's the way it is. And we have reporters who are tied in with the police department in that they get video from the police, they get tips from the police. So at Fox 8 right now, we're heavy on crime. We do a lot of crime stuff. I submit to you that, there's a lot going on out there. Stations choose what they cover. There's some things you have to cover. It's a major story. Other things you choose to cover. Some stations choose to focus on the crime, while other stations choose to focus on more good news stories. But I guess there is a balance. You try to do a balance, and then we try to do a balance we have over the years.
It's heavy, though, man. You guys come on. That first 10 minutes, man, it's rough, brother. Oh, man, my God.
I'm scared to step outside.
Hey, well, that's my wife, because she's like, man, I don't want to go to, it's an argument every night. I'm like, I want to know what's going on. I got to know what's going on.
What is it, a police chase?
Yeah.
Or is it a wrong way driver?
Right.
Or dirt bikes?
And to your point, I think that's what makes people switch more to national news.
Yeah, because they get tired of seeing
it. Because it seemed like it's a little bit further away from you. You're not talking about the shooting that just happened at the corner of your street that you don't want to hear about. You, like you say, you listen to Donald Trump, he's in Washington, or hey, that don't affect me. And I think that's part of that issue you get too,
Yeah, but like I said, we're going to cover that stuff, but we try to balance it with some good news, some positive news, some news, some tech news, some health news and all of that. But you're going to get your feel of Cleveland. What's happening here, the crime that's happening here. You're going to get your feel of, okay, what's the mayor doing now? That's what we do. And we will do that until the community or viewers say we don't want to see that because we are reacting. It's what the public wants.
Mhm.
If the public has an appetite for crime, we're going to feed you crime.
Mm.
If the public says, you know what, I'm tired of crime, and they start moving away from us, and
You see your numbers, Tracy.
numbers drive
Mhm.
everything in television.
Mhm.
Everything in television. Careers are made and ruined because of numbers.
Mhm.
That's just the way it is. We're very reactive when it comes to our viewers and numbers we depend on. So that's the key, right?
So how do you feel the state of journalism is going then?
It's becoming more and more advertiser driven.
Mhm.
When I first got into journalism, the sales department and the journalism and the news department were separate.
Mhm.
They didn't interact. Now there's a marriage between the two. If you notice on a television station, most things are sponsored. The sports is
Right.
sponsored.
Right.
Everything is sponsored.
Mhm.
That didn't happen before.
Okay.
But now there's that merger because we try to sell everything we can.
Mhm.
And that's every station. You want to make money. It's about making money.
Mhm.
Journalism is neck and neck with trying to make money.
Okay.
Because if you can't make money as a TV station, then your future's not bright. And that's unfortunate. Just look at the nationals, the national cable channels.
Mhm.
You got CNN,
Mhm.
they're left. MSNBC's left. So what does Fox do?
Right.
They try to fill that void to go right.
Right.
Now, does that mean Rupert Murdoch is right wing? Not really.
Mhm.
Rupert Murdoch is a businessman.
Mm.
So what he's seeing is that, okay,
Mm.
there's an opportunity here to grab these viewers
Right.
if we go far right,
Mhm. Mhm.
because CNN and MSNBC are left.
Mhm.
So it's a business thing.
Mhm.
And it doesn't necessarily mean that the powers that be at Fox believe what they're saying, but
Right.
it's business.
Mhm.
So there you go.
Mm.
So now we got a new network, and it's our network, Nexstar. We're Nexstar.
Okay.
So we have a nationwide broadcast that comes on. It's on, I think, at 9:00.
Mhm.
Our thing is we're right down the middle. We're going to let you decide. We're going to present the facts and you decide, as opposed to CNN, MSNBC, and Fox. There you go.
Mm.
Nexstar. That's our thing.
Nexstar.
Yeah. And so I think it's on the old Tribune station, TBS, that
Okay.
old station.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it comes on, I think it started like 8:00.
And they're going to do news?
They're already doing it. We've been on for a while.
Okay.
Mhm.
I gotta check
And
that
our
out.
thing is, like I said before,
Mhm.
going to bring it to you right down the middle. We just hired Cuomo, Megyn
Oh,
Kelly.
so
we
that's
just hired-
I did see the advertising for that. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but we've been on the air with that. We're owned by Nexstar. A
Okay.
lot of people think we're owned by Fox right now. We
Mhm.
were owned by Fox initially. When we were CBS, we became Fox.
Mhm.
But Fox sold us many years ago.
Okay.
And so now we're owned by this company called Nexstar, which has like 160 stations. And
Okay.
plus they just bought the CW network.
Okay.
So they're expanding.
Mhm.
And they have this news thing that they're doing. And like I said before, it's supposedly down the middle.
So do you see yourself wanting to ever do any national type news?
No, early on, I never wanted to do national.
Mhm.
Early on, I wanted to do DC.
Mhm.
I have relatives who live in DC, and I wanted to work in DC. This is my third or fourth year. And then I started thinking about how much it costs to live in DC. But I still wanted to work there. But I kept getting promoted at Channel 8.
Mhm.
So I just got comfortable here in Cleveland. But I never wanted to do network news because, in a sense, oftentimes you're living out of a suitcase.
Really?
Yeah, because I'm talking about network correspondent.
Okay.
Because you're going here, you're going there, you
Mhm.
know.
Oh, I know what you're
So
talking
now
about.
a network anchor,
Yeah, that's what. Okay.
would they get paid?
Right. They see it there and
I'll
call me.
be
Right?
It's probably paying, that ship is sailed, but I tell you what, if it had rolled my way
Oh yeah.
for that kind of money,
Oh yeah.
I'd be like, see you.
Just speaking of that, you said when you first started out with Fox 8, that was something they was talking about. You said you was making what, $5 an hour?
When I first started, I was making minimum wage. On that trainee
Mm-hmm.
period, I was making minimum wage.
And what was that
It
back
was
then?
like $250.
That's what it was. Because I remember when you said on news,
It's crazy.
it was what, $250?
Something like that. Back in
Wow.
that was 1979.
Wow.
So, but that $250 was like $15 today. Come on.
So let me ask you a question. Now you went from $2.50, and you ain't got to tell us what you make now.
Right.
But when did you get that bump up that you felt like, oh, you know
Okay.
what? Now I'm making some money.
When I became a regular reporter in
Uh-huh.
82,
Okay.
I got bumped up because when I was freelance, it was just paying me whatever.
Right.
When I became a regular reporter, I got a bump
Then
because
you
I was
felt
an AFTRA union reporter.
Uh-huh.
When I started working weekends, anchoring weekends,
Uh-huh.
I got another bump.
Okay. Okay.
When I went to the morning show, I got another bump.
Okay.
When I had an offer to go to Channel 5, I got another bump.
Okay.
So
Okay.
there you go.
All right, there we go. All right. Answer that question. Excellent. Excellent. So let's talk about you, Wayne. Now you did 40 years over at the place, man. You're a a lot of people don't know you're a pastor, right?
Yeah, man. I got 2 full-time jobs.
2 full-time jobs.
And a wife and family.
That's 3.
That's
And you
3.
got grandkids too, right?
Oh, man, I got grown
Grandkids. Yeah. So
My oldest is 20. She's 21.
Yeah.
No, she'll be 22 soon.
Wow. Wow. I'm saying, y'all see this dude, man. He do not like he aged a day in his life, man. Not a day in his life.
And praise God for that. I'm
Oh
telling
God, he's
you. But
great.
so I got 7 grandkids and 4 kids.
Wow.
3 daughters and a son.
So let's talk about your ministry. And when did you switch over to say, I want to get into pastoring?
It's so funny how that happened because I've been spiritual all my life and grew up in the church and all of that. But like a lot of people, I had stepped away from the church. I got married, I came back and just went from church to church. But I've always been connected to Bethany Baptist Church because I grew up in Glenville, Drexel Avenue, and Eastern 28th and Shaw. So Bethany's my home church. But for a while, I was just visiting other churches. Make a long story short, I came back to Bethany because I thought that this is what the deal was. Being on TV, I was getting these invitations to speak at various men's. Like, okay, maybe I should take a class.
Okay.
Maybe I should take a seminary class or something. So
Learn a little bit. Right.
So I started going to seminary. So one thing led to another. I went to my pastor now, Reverend Rowan, and I said, look, I think I've been called. So to make a long story short, he licensed me many, many years ago. So I started working under him at Bethany. But because I was doing these men's days at all these churches.
Wow.
So he licensed me at Bethany, and I started going to Bethany, working under him for many years. And then I was like 7 years as a minister. And then finally he said, I think you're ready to be ordained. So I went into the training to be ordained, and finally I got ordained. And what happened was I'm working at Bethany. I'm fine. I had no desire to be a pastor. Like I'm working with Pastor Rowan, and he was allowing me to speak at all these churches all over town, which is cool because, hey, I'm spreading my brand, talk about the Lord. By the way, watch Fox 8 News in the morning kind of thing, and go all over town with that. So I'm like, what happened was my pastor was a friend of this guy named Dr. Jeremiah.
Okay.
And he was sick. He asked my pastor, what about that Dawson? Do you think he wants to come over here and give me a hand? And so Pastor Rowan asked me, I said, well, I don't mind. We set up a meeting. Well, the day I was supposed to meet him is the day that Jeremiah Price died.
Wow.
I never got a chance to talk to him. Make a long story short, at that point, looking for an interim pastor. And Pastor Rowan said, hey, you want to put your hat in the ring? I said, okay, I'll put my hat in the ring. Well, they didn't pick me, pick somebody else.
Okay.
Well, last minute, this guy withdrew. I was the second choice. So they picked me, and I was there for a year, and after a year, they said, hey, would you like to be pastor? Me not knowing no better. Okay. So since then, I've been at the church, and it's been a blessing. It really has. People say, how do you do it? I'm like, I don't know. It's just the Lord, man. I always give him the credit because when you think you're doing stuff in your own strength, when you're doing stuff in the strength of the Lord, he will lead you and guide you. That's what he's done for me at Grace Tabernacle Baptist Church in Lyndhurst. He's led me and guided because there's no way I could do it if it was not for his hand, his guiding hand. And that's the way I look at it. So, hey, I'm just doing it, man. I'm just following the Lord, let him do what he does. We've been blessed too. Yeah. The congregation during the pandemic, the congregation is growing. Funny how God works. When I first got there, I said, we want to do a media ministry. Got a lot of pushback. I don't want to be on TV and blah, 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 blah. Some of the other ministers. I said, we're going to do it anyway. So we did it. Bam, pandemic hits.
Wow. Saw it coming.
And hey, I'm just like, so now we're still doing our thing, and we've been able to expand that. Little bumps and bruises along the way, but we've actually gained membership during the pandemic, which is a blessing. Our finances have been strong. So the Lord has blessed the church, man, and I'm thankful for that. All glory goes to God.
On that note of the pandemic, I think they're kind of downplaying that a little bit more, Wayne. You in the media, is it becoming a norm now, or you think they got a good handle on that and people don't have to worry as much as it did before?
Well, I think it's going to be around. People are still catching COVID, but thankfully it's not as bad.
It's not as bad.
It's like the flu.
Right. We're not hearing people dying like the numbers and all of that anymore,
I think
right?
people have gotten vaccinated.
Okay.
We've become immune. So I think that's the case because I was just at a wedding this past week and the former first lady of our church came down with COVID.
Right.
But she's been boosted and gotten all 4 shots.
Right.
But she said it's more like a runny nose kind of thing. But you still have to stay away from people.
Right.
It's so funny. I did a thing last night, wait over Wednesdays, and I'm reading the script. If you're not with an individual group, you need to sit 6 feet apart. And I get a letter today or an email today, man, ain't trying to scare people, blah, 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 from somebody who was there last night. I'm like, look, I'm just reading the script. You know what I mean? I'm just reading the script. And the script says, if you ain't with a group, fine. If you're not, we advise you to sit 6 feet apart.
Right.
It ain't mine. I'm just reading the script. But I think people have gotten to the point now where they're used to.
It was amazing to me how people just did not want to just go with that. I mean, and I get it. There's so many conspiracy out there. You really don't know what to believe sometimes, but the amount of people who just said, didn't believe it was just.
Well, you know why that.
Yeah,
You know why that.
Well, we'll just leave it. It's a shame, though. Yeah. It's a shame.
But finally, they said, okay, well, I think it is.
I think it is true. Exactly. So, Wayne, let's talk about now your church. And you're doing well with your church. Any obstacle? What was the biggest hurdle you think you had to get going into that church?
Well, the biggest hurdle I had was bringing it together.
Okay.
Because the death of the founding pastor, the other pastor they've had, brought about a lot of bickering and fighting in the church. Longtime members, deacons. So I had to come in the midst of that. And so my philosophy, the Lord led me to really preach on love, and that's what I preached on like the first year. Slowly that message, kind of touched the hearts of the individuals there. But when I first got there was a lot of trouble. Matter of fact, my pastor said, you sure you want to go over there? Because they fighting like crazy. But praise be to God. You always got issues in church, but these were pretty bad issues.
Really?
But praise God. And I didn't know what I was getting into. Like I said, the God's just leading me when it comes to that whole ministry. I'm like this when it comes to ministry. Hands off, God, just lead me. So I went in there preaching love, and slowly but surely we were able to come together and, operate and function. I will say that the church is on solid ground. Price laid a firm foundation.
Okay. So are you able to get more young people involved?
That's what we're trying to do, man. And that's a blessing. We've had a few young families come in, man, blessing. Because that's the future of the church. That's the future, right. And you have to bring in young families. And we've been blessed this year to bring in 3 or 4 young families, man, active. So that's good. And that's a beautiful thing. And that's when, like I said before, I give all glory to God. I try to be relevant. I'm not a preaching the robe kind of guy.
Okay.
Because I mean, you gotta, young.
You ain't a hooper?
I ain't a hooper either. I mean, I think personally, I think those days are gone.
Yeah.
I think people want to be, you want to talk to people. You want to give them the word. I mean, there's still people like hooping, but I think the younger generation, it's a different generation.
Oh, it's a different generation, yeah.
And that stuff worked in the past.
Yeah.
And people still like to dance.
Yeah.
I'm not Pentecostal, but
Right.
But when I'm looking, I'm like, is that a show or is that praise?
Right.
Fine line.
It's a fine line.
So my thing is just trying to empower. I've tried to tell people that, hey, you are somebody. God loves you. The fact that the Holy Spirit is within you, that means you're part of the Godhead. Try to empower people because of their connection to Christ. That's my message. Jesus is the Son of God. He's part of the Trinity. The Holy Spirit, part of the Trinity. And that resides in you. That means that you have greatness within you. Give your life to Christ and see what happens.
You grew up in East Cleveland.
Yeah, well, Cleveland first. See, one stop you there. Only because people they connect me to East Cleveland because I went to Shaw.
So, okay.
But man, I'm from Glenville.
And that's great. What part of
Glenville?
I grew
up on Drexel Avenue.
There it is.
Right on Glenville.
There it is.
First 10 years of my life.
Right.
Then moved to East 128th off Shaw. And then when I went to the 7th grade, we moved to East Cleveland.
Excellent.
And then went to Kirk in Shaw. But I was part of that second phase of desegregation.
Okay.
I got bused from Hazeldale to Murray Hill.
Really?
But along the way, I went to Joseph F. Landis, went to Parkwood.
Okay.
Remember Parkwood?
Right over there off Forest Hills, right.
Yeah. Miles Standish. I went to all those schools.
Wow.
And then ended up at Hazeldale.
Wow.
And then they sent me to Murray Hill. Come on.
Wow. Well, and you went out, because I grew up on Kempton. And over there off 105.
Yeah.
So I went to Miles Standish, Empire, all of that stuff. Yeah. So we were right in the same neighborhood.
Yeah, man.
Everybody on this show who comes in, somehow or another, end up weeding their way through Glenville. And that's
Glenville It was
amazing.
such a fertile ground, and see, my family goes way back to
Mm.
Glenville. Remember, it used to be the Jewish part of
Correct,
town.
correct,
And
correct.
when my family moved over there way before I was born,
Mhm.
they were one of the few black families over there.
I can believe that.
And the
Mhm.
churches, Corey,
Yeah.
Abyssinia,
Yes,
and
yeah.
Bethany, those were synagogues.
They were synagogues. And you look at them today, they
And you
still
can
have the
tell.
writing on the top of
That's
the
right.
buildings.
That's right.
It sure
I
is.
remember walking to Bethany Baptist Church with my grandfather, who was a deacon there.
Wow.
And they had the deacon corner.
Yeah,
And I
exactly.
remember all
Exactly.
that growing up, man. Like, I grew up in Bethany.
Mhm.
I learned how to swim at Corey.
Wow.
They had a swimming pool at Corey.
Still do. They still
You still got a swimming
yeah,
pool?
swimming pool
That's why I
there.
learned how to swim, because
Yeah.
I grew up right
Yeah.
down the street.
Pool's still there.
And that folks said, well, man, you East Cleveland. I grew up I was in East Cleveland, but I'm from
In
Glenville.
Glenville.
Man, you East Cleveland. I went to Shaw. Now, my brother's East Cleveland.
Your brother's East
That's
Cleveland.
all he knows.
Okay.
But I was getting ready to go to Patrick Henry.
Mm.
Then my mother moved to East Cleveland.
Well, you know what? I'm glad because you're proud about that, and that's great. Everybody from Glenville is definitely proud about that.
Glenville, has a place in my heart. There's no doubt about
Excellent.
that. No doubt about that.
So my point I was going to get into with this discussion about community
Right.
and just the way things have changed. Wayne, you've been around, you've been reporting the news for a long
Yeah,
time,
man.
and you've been watching how all our communities just like you. Hey, you were part of Glenville of the good times
And East Cleveland.
and East Cleveland, a good time, and we done watched them all change now and what's going on. And so, Wayne, where I think, man, is the city going to make a comeback? I think we're less than 300,000 in the city of Cleveland. We're losing population. We're spreading out. People are looking for better places to live, but the core of our city, and I call East Cleveland part of our core because it's right there.
Right there.
And what you think, Wayne?
It's going to take leadership.
Mhm.
Very hopeful about Mayor Bibb and what he's
Mhm.
accomplished.
Mhm.
We need leaders like him,
Mhm.
young leaders who really want to stay here and give back. East Cleveland right now is suffering from the lack of good leadership.
Correct.
And that's why the city's in the shape it's in. They've had bad mayor after bad mayor after bad mayor who just took from the city, and now there's nothing to take.
Mm.
Cleveland, Frank Jackson made a lot of inroads. There are a lot of things that happened years as mayor. There are a lot of things happening. I think the key is with him as mayor, hopefully it will draw young people back to the city. And that's what I'm hoping. Downtown is becoming a neighborhood. That's the key. Once downtown becomes a neighborhood, I think that the city will begin to come back again. But I think Cleveland has hit the lowest point.
Really?
I think now there's no place else.
We're worse than everything, man. They say we're the most stressful place to live.
Only one way to go, that's up.
Wow.
And I really have confidence what I've seen so far. It's early, but I have confidence in Justin Bibb and other young leaders who are now stepping up. And that's the key, man. We need young leaders to step up. Young politicians, young leaders, young business individuals. It's that next generation now. I got to be realistic. I'm over 60. So it's the next generation that really has to step up and stay here. Instead of moving out.
Moving out, right.
Stay here and try to make a life here and build the city back up. I often wonder, I was just in Chicago. I'm like, how did Chicago become Chicago? And Cleveland kind of stayed. Because we got the same. We both got a lake.
Yep.
Both got a river.
Yep.
Both got ethnic communities. How did Chicago thrive as a city? And Cleveland just remained where it is. I'm still trying to.
It's the leadership. Leadership over the years, I think it is. And we in Cleveland have this crab in the barrel mentality, especially amongst African Americans. And that's a big problem, man. It's a huge problem, man. We don't come together for nothing.
And that's a sad situation. And we are our own worst enemy. When we could be powerful force, not only in this city, in this country, but we refuse to recognize our power and our potential as a group of people. We recognize it. And as long as that happens, it can be taken advantage of. And that's sad.
That's sad.
Everybody thought the Barack Obama presidency was pinnacle, but we found out that was not the pinnacle. And I always said if it wasn't a Barack Obama, there wouldn't be a Donald Trump.
Right.
So
exactly.
It's like since Barack Obama, we've kind of taken a few steps backward.
You step backward. We just fell off the cliff.
It is, because there's enough for everybody. That's big.
Well, society, I think, as a whole, have done that to the African-American male. The African-American male just took a serious hit. It goes back when we talked about the crack houses and the drugs and everything else. It left women raising kids without fathers in the house.
Totally. Can we just take it a step further? That black exploitation period, man.
Exactly.
When our heroes were the pimps and the drug
Exactly.
dealers and all that, they were idolized.
They were idolized, and I would say your generation.
Yep.
Then my generation took it to hip hop, where hip hop is cool now, but the hip hop that started it all, that got it going,
Was
that
negative.
was negative, and even gangster rap. And even when we get back older, we look at it and be like, oh my God, was we, you know? But back then, those days, I remember playing, and they was like, man, turn it off. And be like, oh man, y'all crazy. We live, you know, and it was that thing. And over time, man, it took a toll on our community. Even to the point now, man, that the lyrics of the hip hop, and I know some of my younger folks will kill me about this, but you know, the girls' lyrics now are worse than the guy lyrics.
Right.
I mean, some of the girls who are good MCs now, I look at them and be like, oh, she's rapping. But when you turn it on, be like, did she just heard her say?
Can I tell you, when I grew up in the 60s and even early 70s, you had positivity.
Right.
You had black power.
Exactly.
You were proud to be black.
Mhm.
I've always been proud to be
Exactly.
always, because that's why I was grounded.
Mhm.
You know, I'm black and I'm proud.
Right.
Songs had a positive
Right.
ring to them, man.
Right.
I'm a proud black man today because of youth. I think we've lost that today.
So Wayne, what's next, man? What's next for Wayne Dawson?
One thing, my wife's like, you need to rest.
Right.
She said, you need to, you know, spend some time chilling. And
Full-time pastor?
yeah, I just signed a new contract at Fox 8, so I'll be there for a while.
So you ain't going nowhere.
Y'all gonna see me on there for a few minutes.
We're going to see you. All right, so we know where he
God
at.
willing. I got a book coming out in November.
Excellent.
29th of November. It's called The Seeds of Greatness Are Within You.
Mm.
And it documents my life from Glenville area to East Cleveland, Kent, to early years at Fox 8 ministry that I'm doing now, and my family life and all that stuff. And I can say this, I've never been a model citizen. I've had some ups and downs in life, made a lot of mistakes. But the message is, no matter what kind of mistakes you make, you can still rebound and you can still achieve. And that's what I hope people get.
You going to do an auto book on it as well?
Yeah, he wants to do an auto book. And I'm like, I got to read that stuff. That's going to take a long time. I mean, I read for a living, man. I got to read this whole book. So I'm going to do an auto book as well. So we'll see what happens. You know, we've already started putting stuff on the internet and stuff like that. So
Okay.
I like to come back and talk.
Oh, no, you definitely coming back, Wayne. You're
Yeah.
welcome here anytime, man. I
Okay.
want you to come back. I appreciate you coming out, man.
Yeah,
But I'm going to give you the opportunity to say something, you know, if
Okay.
you want to plug your church and
Okay.
tell people where the church is,
Okay,
where
do
y'all
all
do
that.
service at, or
Yeah.
anything that's on your mind.
Okay.
That camera is on you.
All right. First of all, Ken, thank you, man, for this opportunity to actually be on your podcast and talk to your viewers. I would really appreciate it. First of all, watch Fox 8 News in the morning. That's important. We're on from 4 o'clock all the way to 10. So check us out in the morning. If you already do, I thank you for that. Secondly, I have a church. I'm the pastor of Grace Tabernacle Baptist Church, which is in Lyndhurst, Ohio, 5020 Mayfield Road in Lyndhurst. Our service is 11 o'clock on Sunday morning. We're done at about 12:15. I won't hold you long, but we have a good action-packed hour and 20 minutes of worship. It is a Bible-based, Christ-believing church. We also have a Bible study via a prayer line. That's on Wednesday night as well. And then we also have prayer on Thursday morning at 9:30. The Bible study is at 6:30 on Wednesday. If you watch us on Sunday, we'll give you the number prayer line. Once again, we also stream. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, Wayne Dawson Instagram page. We're on the Grace Tabernacle Baptist Church Facebook page, as well as YouTube. So check us out there. Coming out in November 29th, I'm putting out a book. Dante Young is writing my memoirs. So it's basically a positive kind of book. I want to speak life into people, and I'm using my life as a way to let everyone know that they do have the seeds of greatness within them. That goes for everyone. We all do, because we're all children of God. So the name of the book is The Seeds of Greatness Are Within You. There will be an audio version, that book available on Amazon, all of that. So you'll be hearing more about it. It's an honor to be able to preach the word of God over at Grace Tabernacle Baptist Church. I feel blessed. I really do. And once again, thank you so much if you've been watching me over the years. Even if you have not, check us out. See if you like it. I'm always looking for viewers. Once again, thank you very much. Ken, thank you, man. You are the man.
Oh, thank
You are
you,
the
sir.
man,
Thank
brother.
you, thank you. Hey, y'all. Wayne's World, party
Right,
time.
right.
Excellent. We'll see y'all next episode.